some shield to follow as well. So in a good spot. Meanwhile, Volks, who got third place in game number 3, another Australian player by Raised by Kings. He's landed in the United States. He's going to be going back to LAN in the United States. I believe he's moving to the US here momentarily to have some better competition. So big shout out to Raised by Kings for supporting their players, Harpy and Volks. We'll see what Volks can do. Meanwhile, Aimbot, coming from Asia, is in the same area as Volks in the Sweaty Sands by some other players as well.
Yeah, so Sweaty Sands has been a little bit of a contested drop all day. We've seen at least 3 players land here in every single game. So it's going to be interesting to see how these players decide to engage. We see Alice there also performing very well in the top 10 right now. Volks is over there again, like you said. We've got Aimbot. Very, very good players. We're going to see who ends up taking Sweaty Sands.
Yep, you're at Alice in the top 10 alongside Rory, who had actually a game win as well. So won a game yesterday in the Pro-Am, won a game today. Meanwhile, Spoiling gonna spot Mr. Fresh Asian shieldless. This is a scary situation for Mr. Fresh Asian, but surely you heard those builds. Now Spoiling kind of made it obvious he's above him. Mr. Fresh Asian with no shields to his name does not want to fight this fight. If I am Mr. Fresh, I am playing for survival right now, which is tough to do in Pleasant Park with a fully shielded Spoiling above you.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Mr. Fresh Asian, because it is so early in the game, he's actually not sure how much health Spoiling has, but we did hop over to cover Age here. He did just pick up an elimination, so that's going to be one for him, looking good. He is a little bit low on shield, so he's going to have to really look to get more of that, which looks like he's doing right now. 150 health in total. Going back over to Spoiling, though, still trying to track Mr. Fresh Asian, who looks like he's still below him there in that house.
Yeah, it's a good call out. Benji Fishy picking up an elimination at the top left. I talked to Benji at the half, and he said, look, I've been getting some great drops. I've been getting some great zones. Unfortunately, not getting a lot of shield. That's what's been costing me, and really no excuses. I got to play better. And again, I've been so impressed by Benji Fishy, his professionalism. As a 15-year-old professional Fortnite player, with all the fame he's received, he still manages to stay humble. I tweeted a picture yesterday of him signing autographs 30 minutes after the broadcast. He really understands what it takes to grow his brand and what it takes to support his fans. It's awesome to see.
Yeah, he's a sweet kid for sure. Speaking of sweet kids, we have one of the X2 twins, Jordan here, getting into a little bit of a scuffle. Is going to take a snipe shot over on Link. It doesn't connect. Link was ready with those preemptive builds, heard the sniper shot, and decided to defend himself. Now we have his opponent here taking some shots, possibly trying to knock him down. It doesn't look like he's too reinforced, so he's going to have to be careful there, but it looks like he might be pinched here if this other player tries to third party, if Link decides to roll up on this.
Yeah, Jordan. First shot almost connects for a headshot on Link, another top Australian player who participated in the solos tournament at the Fortnite World Cup, was one of our 11 Australia-New Zealand qualifiers, so congrats to him on that great achievement, but he wasn't happy with his placement. He wanted more. Mitch Robinson, speaking of which, is going to tag up Jordan quite significantly. So Mitch Robinson, professional AFL football player with some good edits coming through as well. He switched from controller to keyboard and mouse months ago, has been grinding the game, and right now has Jordan on his back foot.
Unbelievable. I talked to Mitch a little bit yesterday. He said that he's been putting in the time, he's been putting in the work, and it definitely shows. To switch from controller to keyboard and mouse is something so difficult to do, but it looks as though he's gotten it down so far. His health is a little bit low. He needs to mini up, which he is going to do right now, and it looks like Jordan has kind of taken the high ground now. He used the time that Mitch didn't know where he was to take the high ground, and now is going to go on the offense.
Yeah, gets a good tag. Even fight right now. Mitch is really holding his own against these professional Fortnite players. I've been so impressed, but unfortunate for him, he's going to get tagged up. If you're a fan of Australian rules football, you're cheering for Mitch Robinson right now, as Jordan is going to get taken out by Mitch Robinson.
Wow!
Can you believe it?
Wow, kudos to Mitch for playing that perfectly, but unfortunately he is going to take some tags from another player. It is Link. He did come in for the third party, and he ends up taking out Mitch Robinson. How unfortunate. Link waited for the perfect moment. He knew that Jordan had gone down, so he used that moment to come in and clean up, and clean up he did.
Great job by Link with the third party, but again, for Mitch Robinson to defeat one of the best players in Australia, New Zealand, X2 twins Jordan, who qualified for the World Cup, by the way. What a showing.
Yeah,
a World Cup qualifier taken out by Mitch Robinson. Wow.
Very impressive. If you're Mitch, you've got to be feeling good about that right now. Here we are over by Cat and Cypher. Cat, very, very good with his builds, with his edits, drinking his shield up to get himself to full 200 HP. He has an RPG, but he only has one shot, so he is going to have to make it count. Looking to edit here, using his builds. I know you can't see it, but he's using that to see if there are any opponents around him to get as much information as he possibly can on the location. Jalen making a quick shot. Unfortunately, it doesn't connect, but look at how many players we have in Lazy Link.
Yep.
Lazy Link.
Lazy
Link.
Links.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
like the new Tilted, is what it feels like in a lot of ways.
I just miss Lazy
Links. Yeah, you want to go golfing again.
I do.
Good times.
Bring the golf cart back, please. Epic. Hashtag bring it back.
Chapter 1 was a great time. Chapter 2 has been great as well. Who knows what we have in store, by the way, in Chapter 2. Many more great seasons to come. Currently on board with Jalen. A lot of Australian players in the vicinity of one another. We saw Kat, Jalen, who competed last year in the Australian Open, looking to do it again. We actually also saw Colt, who competed last year, get taken out early. So our veteran from last year, no longer in this one. Kat and Cypher right next to each other with Jalen nearby in Lazy Lakes.
Yeah, and we're going to have to see maybe how these players choose to rotate. They are in the zone, so there's no pressure on them to move. It is really just going to
What's up? Is this Symphonies? Is he here? Cypher showing off some edit skills.
Just look at this. He knows the camera's on him. Everyone, give Cypher some love. Say you love the edits.
All right, we get it. You're great at editing.
Come on, man.
Thanks for showing it off. Cypher's having some fun here, playing like a creative. Meanwhile, we got Kat in the top right, who's just like, what is this guy doing right now? What is happening?
Kat wearing the Link skin, representing kitties everywhere.
Cypher's still editing, even though Kat's pushed up with an RPG. Now he's finally done. Big fight ensuing. Kat's going to catch Cypher off guard with a great shotgun shot now. You can't edit anymore, Cypher. Kat's going to get you. Wow, good job by Kat.
Cypher, unfortunately, did not stand a chance there at all. Kat heard all of those edits, knew that he was trying to meme, and just really taught him a lesson there. Here we have Forbes, very low HP going up against Zora, but he does get pinched. We have another player there, Q-Jack. He's actually going to now disengage. Zora says, you know what, that shot was too strong. I'm not interested anymore. You can have that one. I'm gonna go and get out of this situation.
That's a good call out, Pookie, because obviously he also realized that he was able to get a siphon from that. So that's 50 shield. If he didn't already have 100 shield, he definitely did at that point. Meanwhile, he only had 175 total shields. So you have a slight disadvantage. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but at the end of the day, Fortnite's a game of resources. You might not think of it that way. Obviously, materials are resources, but think of your health, think of your shield as resources as well. Understand your situation, what resources you have available, and you are behind in resources by 25 HP. Not worth fighting that fight.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. It is definitely a numbers game a lot of the time. Here we are again at Lazy Lake, and we have more and more players joining us over here. We have about 15 players in this small little vicinity, and it is only the second storm. It is going to start moving now. You can see over on the right-hand side of this screen, there's been a lot of sniper damage, and as someone who loves sniping, this is great to see. We've got 729 at the very top, so these guys are loving their sniper rifle shots today. We've seen so much of it, so many connections. You love to see it.
Yeah, Desire has been one player I've been so impressed with. Probably the most accurate player we've seen so far. And it shows with the sniper damage significantly above everyone else. Saf and Psalm right behind them. Psalm, if you remember his name, it's because, well, he was right behind Booga. Second place at the Fortnite World Cup Solos competition. $1.8 million that the 24-year-old took home from California. Big shout out to Psalm as he's looking to bounce back here in the second half, as well as Ghost Safaruni.
Yeah, and here we see Q-Jack making the rotation, taking some shots on Zora. He is going to get 220 shots, and Zora is actually super hurt now. He got taken down by a bunch of grenades, only has about 25 health left. Q-Jack knows it, so he's going to actually be pushing up to see if he can finish. Zora was able to get some floppers off, and now a mini, so it is a pretty even fight at this point. Follow, what do you think is going to happen here?
Yeah, I gotta say, Q-Jack's playing with such aggression right now. Zora lower, again, same thing, managing resources, 125, but in this situation, a sniper's gonna come through from cross map and actually knock Q-Jack off his back foot. He's gonna have to heal up. Zora probably recognizes that he got tagged because he heard the sound effect come through, and now it's actually Slaya, former member of Chiefs, currently a free agent looking to make a name for himself, who has an opportunity to continue third partying with a sniper.
Yeah, again, we have another player coming in. Scarlet takes some tags. Unfortunately, isn't going to be able to figure out where those came from, but he is going to keep pushing forward because the zone is at his back. They are on the slow side, so they have a little bit of time. They're able to outrun it. Zora, you can see in the storm running towards all of these other players. This is going to be absolute pandemonium when these players meet up.
I don't even know what pandemonium means. No, I'm just kidding. Great vocabulary being shown by Pookie here. I'm just kidding. Zora, on board of Zora right now. Currently up against Scarlet and many others. Keep in mind, anyone you see with CR as a team tag is actually from our Japanese region. You saw Ruri take home a game win earlier. Zora, though, from Australia, trying to prove they are on top here in this Southern Hemisphere.
And Zora doesn't have any mats left. That's why he's kind of pop back and forth there. He's going to try and take his opponent down. Scarlet is reinforcing everything, so he has full control of this and actually ends up getting tagged. Zora gets massive tags on Scarlet and ends up taking him out. No mats, no problem. I have weapons and I'm going to use them, he says. Slaya now recognizing that Zora may be low, so he is going to push up on him with full health and so many resources. He can make a huge play here if he plays this properly.
No mats, no problem indeed. Zora making it look like it's Chapter 1, Season 2 with pure rifle play. Played that with confidence, and I love that decision because he needed those mats from the elimination that he was able to pick up on a member of CR. So he did play with such aggression, despite having no builds, was just putting constant pressure on that fight. Picked up some mats and some siphoned HP as a result. Each time you get an elimination, you get 50 additional HP as a reward.
Yeah, and you can see, speaking of eliminations on the right-hand side, this is for the total tournament today. We've got Worthy at number 1 with 13 trapped, holding that second spot with number 12, Alice at 12, Nyrox at 11, Symmetrical and Cypher both at 7 as well, and then all the way down the list we have 7. So it's pretty close in terms of eliminations, but where the brunt of these points are going to come from is the placement points. For those of you watching at home that haven't seen the format yet, this is the standard solo Cash Cup format. So Victory Royale is getting you 10 points. That's what you want. That's what can make a huge difference in the end.
Yep, you're spot on. One thing that's very interesting about what we just saw, eliminations and damage dealt stats, it's all Australia, New Zealand all day. We've been talking about it. Are we going to see the same level of aggression? We all know that Australia, New Zealand actually holds the world record for most amount of eliminations in a Cash Cup, which are the weekly online tournaments for cash that are in Fortnite, and the aggression has stayed true. 8 out of 10 of the players in damage dealt and eliminations categories approximately are from AU and Z.
Yeah, which is excellent. You know, we're in Australia. You know, this is their home turf. I know that Aussie has been actually rooting for a lot of these guys. This is his region, and like he said earlier, if he's going to be able to call games 5 and 6 and one of them takes it home, it's a dream come true for him.
That's so incredibly true. Aussie Antics casting his first major and doing such a great job. He really is such a staple in this Australia-New Zealand community, streaming almost every single day, commentating the action, bringing the action, analyzing. One of the only to do it here locally. He deserves the world, and hopefully he gets what he would want the most is a Australia or New Zealand player regionally winning this championship.
And taking a look at here, we still have so many players in this lobby. I can see Zayt, I can see Bob, Dylan, an AU favorite. We've got Saf, Cease, we've got Squeaks, Benji Fishy is still alive, Epic Whale, third place solo World Cup. So this is a huge lobby. Look at how many players are still alive here.
And look at this end zone here, Pookie. It's going to be on top of a mountain. So, of course, anytime you see an end circle on a mountain, it's very difficult to traverse that mountain. You have to build upwards. When players are already there positioned, you're literally pushing into their aim down sights, their ability to put tags onto you. So it can be a difficult rotation for the likes of Mr. Fresh Asian, Spoiling, Q-Jack, and so many others that are not even close to that circle.
Yeah, not only is it a difficult rotation in terms of the angle, but you also have to think if you're having to scale up that mountain, you're expending more of your materials than you typically would be if you're actually just trying to rotate on flat ground. So these guys are going to have to be very smart with how they choose to spend their materials and hopefully get a few eliminations along the way so they can beef up what they have in their inventory.
Yep, Hesh's controller player here locally, just waiting for an edit in the window and an opportunity to strike. in a good position. So if I'm looking at the players right now, I want to point out, we have a lot of players left, but if I were to predict 100 Thieves Elevate in a great position, Esh is very well positioned. No shields to his name. It'll be very difficult for him, but very well positioned as well. So if I think any of these players are going to make it, I think those two are some that I'm looking out for to come out on top. We'll see, though. A lot of game to be played.
Still 54 players live who aren't even close to the first threshold of 4 placement points, which is 25th place. You need to be at least there in order to get 3 points to your name. And Westy taking some shots onto Som. And unfortunately, Worthy had an open wall. The RPG rocket came in, takes him down to only 100 health, and now he's gonna have to fight for his life, but it isn't enough. He is taken out by Epic Whale. Epic Whale also gets an elimination on Bola as well at the exact same time. So that's 2 eliminations for Epic Whale in a very short period of time.
Epic Whale stepping up in a big way. Worthy there. It was like a truck coming through the front door of your house. He takes an RPG to the side, and that cost him. Now, Epic Whale sitting with 2 eliminations. Another player that so many in the Fortnite community, I know Sundown, Bala, so many watching at home and supporting, predicted these two to do great. Epic Whale and Benji Fishy. He's stepping up here. We'll see if he can win this game. He needs a victory royale here in addition to some more eliminations.
Yeah, and Westy, again, just using those edits. He's got his sniper rifle out, so we know for a fact that he's going to try to get at least some damage on his opponents, if not an elimination. We can see the next zone has popped up on screen, and it is going to be a southwest zone. So all of those players that were up on that high ground and all of those players that were on the side of the mountain are now going to have to come down. We see Westy here trying to make the rotation early, and he is having to use a lot of his materials. He still has a bunch left, but he is going to have to be careful with how he utilizes those to rotate. I think an early rotation here is going to be key for a lot of these players.
Indeed. We just saw Link, the World Cup qualifier from Australia, get taken out here. I know we saw Som earlier, I was going to point out, he was getting so focused. One thing in competitive Fortnite, if you start getting kind of laser beamed or focused by one person, 2 or 3 more jump on top of that. It's the worst position to be in. So I have to assume Som got taken out here as the runner-up at the World Cup. Meanwhile, Esh is still in a very nice little cheeky closet here. It's almost like he's in the attic.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent angles that he's utilized here. Unfortunately for him, he isn't actually in the zone, so he is going to have to make a run for it. He's got 55 seconds to do so, so he is able to get some tags on people that are a little bit further out of zone than he is, totally utilizing his position to hopefully get some siphon back so that he can go into the final circles with a little bit more health.
One thing he's doing, notice how he's using right-hand advantage. So because Fortnite's a third-person game, the camera is over your left shoulder. You have a right-hand advantage when you're playing on your right side. You can see a little bit more there, get a little more angle. Good job by Esh is doing that right there. Meanwhile, on board the 100 Thieves Elevate, where I called out, he's in a pretty good position. And that stays true. Currently, center circle, I believe, in a solid spot, close to that zone, sitting with lots of heals. Look at that, 6 small potions, which give him 25 shield each, 2 big potions, which give him 50 shield each, gold RPG, gold SMG, in a great position to close this one out. Zate, another player who we are looking to step up here, does it as well.
And Zate, look at him again, taking high ground. He is loving the high ground today.
He always does.
We've seen him on it so many times. RPGs are now coming out. J-O-Mock, you can see down there at the bottom left-hand side of our screen, is going to medkit even for just a little bit more health because he's not going to have the time to get that off. It's going to take 10 seconds. Yep. You see Bob here scaling up, ascending the side of this built mountain. Zate, unfortunately, is going to have to scale back a little bit to his reinforced structure because he had Think taking some shots on him, trying to shoot him down.
Yep, so would you look at this? We got Zate, Cease, Elevate of 100 Thieves, Benji Fishy still alive. So many huge names right now. Ghost Trapped, and Ghost Saf alive as well. It's gonna come down to the wire. Zate in a good position here. He loves high ground. He's one of those old school Fortnite players that's always so consistent, always plays for high ground. We talked about it earlier with Aussie Antics. High ground isn't as effective as it was in seasons 5 and 6. And this is exactly why. You don't have as much mobility or the opportunity to get out of fights. Meanwhile, Radius is trapping right behind him. He gets tagged up, though, so Zate, if he realizes it, can get a kill. Epic Whale takes out one on Jinx. It's all coming down to the wire here. A lot of fights. Cloud9 Blackouts in a tough spot. Zate is going to get tagged up as well.
Oh my goodness, this is complete mayhem going into these final zones. Zate trying to scale down now. He realizes that he doesn't have very many materials, so being up on high ground is getting riskier and riskier for him at this point. Think is taking a ton of damage. He's gonna have to pull something through, takes more fall damage, catches himself, and is able to get off 2 floppers and a mini before he has to start moving again. Think, you've got one more flopper, come on, bud. This is ticking by 10, you gotta get going.
He's doing that on purpose, because when you have those floppers, you can heal almost instantly. You can sit in the storm and retake high ground, exactly what Antics and I talked about about earlier, Mr. Fresh Asian did it last game, but now he's so weak because he took so long to do it, Pookie, that it might be looking bleak for him.
Yeah, he had to hurry up.
Yeah.
Getting off that extra mini was definitely not worth the 80 damage in health he ended up taking. We've got Westy on high ground, tarping out, reinforcing with the cones, trying to get over to that mountain, be the first player there, catches himself on the build, turns around so that he can just start shooting at players that are coming into zone and preoccupied with each other.
And we've seen some big names in the elimination feed. Cease does it again. Saf did it earlier, but Cease is going to get eliminated, gets 11th place in this one. So with 10 players left, we are down to our top 10. A lot of big names in this one. Jolin, representing AUNZ, gets taken out by Hype, also from the region. Brezzo, controller player, does it as well. Pre-depression, I know he has some fans in the crowd I met earlier, takes out one.
This is Westy's game to lose at this point. He has the ultimate advantage. He also has 6 floppers and a crazy amount of traps in his inventory. You can hear the crowd. They are getting hyped up. Speaking of hype, Westy raining down shots on Hype himself. We have 5 players left. They have reached the next threshold of 7 points, but they want that 10. The RPGs are flying. Elevate only has 18 health, down to 65 shield, now 7. He is gonna have to make something happen. Unfortunately, Hype takes him out. He isn't going to be able to follow up with anything on that. Hype going back in the storm to grab that RPG, swaps it out, and now is going to be going up against the likes of Westy.
Westy's gonna take out Benji Fishy. That's no easy task, and it all comes down to this. 3 players remain. It's Westy, it's Hype, and one other. I think it might be Saf. Yes, it is. Saf, representing America, coming from California against the 2 Australians. He's gonna get a good shot and right-hand advantage. Saf does it. We have a 1 versus 1. Saf versus Westy. Look how many floppers Westy has. He just needs to play this slow, play the longevity, and try to heal up when needed. Hold high ground, and he could win this one.
He could definitely turn this into a heal-off for sure. Saf does not have any white heals in his inventory at all, only the minis at his disposal. You can see Saf trying to get better positioning. He is trying to go through, but he's taking a ton of damage. Is this gonna be enough? No! Unfortunately for Saf, Westy stayed in the circle, was able to clutch that up. 5 eliminations, 18 points in total for Westy.
What a huge game from the Australian here. Westy versus Saf. And Westy plays it exactly how he said he should and how he needed to. Just slow played it, held high ground, recognized he had the heal off advantage. And yes, it didn't end any heal off, but he knew that regardless of what happened, he could just hold high ground. He could heal if he did get tagged up, and he could come out on top. Ultimately, Saf did what he had to try to do and tried to get some peak shots, some cheeky peak shots to get the headshots to win it. Did not pay off for him. Instead, Westy comes out on top. But a huge